our theme or tagline for Frameline36 is Find Your Story. What story are you trying to highlight through Mississippi I Am?
Mississippi I Am, the story that I'm trying to tell is the youth story of Mississippi. When I grew up in Mississippi, I really didn't understand what these kids are going through today. Because when I was, a teenager growing up, I was able to hide that I was gay. And so it was a non-issue in my high school because there was 0 gay people. So no one really talked about it, no one really cared. This day and age, kids, it's such a subject on everyone's mind is, the gay community, and people are coming out more, that these kids are now being, spotlit of where they live. And in a territory like Mississippi that isn't very friendly with the gay community. It's very, I guess there's a lot of misconception and a lot of uneducation that happens in the South with the gay community, stemming basically from religion. So with this documentary, I wanted to show what it was like to be in the shoes of a teenager growing up in Mississippi right now and being an out, proud gay person.
Excellent, great. Catherine, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, everything that Lance said, but also for me, the most important thing is visibility, right? I mean, it's always telling our stories, and I think for these kids in Mississippi, the fact that they formed, when Lance first approached me, we talked about, he said, I want to do something on the Mississippi Safe Schools Coalition. Without those kids coming forward, Constance McMillan may not have had a number to call. She heard about them and called the ACLU. So when we become visible and say, and not only are these young people saying, I am gay or I'm LGBTQ, I'm also from here. I am from this state. I belong here as much as you do, and I'm not leaving. And so by them putting themselves out there, putting their faces and their names and trying to organize, they inspired somebody like Constance to be able to say, you know what, no, I'm not taking this, and I want to do something about it. And now all those other kids are saying, hey, I've got the ACLU number in my back pocket. I'm not going to let this happen either. And those young people also inspired somebody like Pam Walsh, the pastor who'd had an underground church for 15 years, say they've inspired me to come out, to bring our church out into the open. So visibility begets visibility, and it allows people to get to know us and really, and for change to happen on a much more sort of on the ground, personal, which is very important for the South, it seems to me. Family member by family member, personal way. That it's not a political axe coming in. That it's much more people and telling our stories.
It's all personal and comes from love, which I see. And as you see in the film, it's amazing how the younger generation is educating the older generation in this subject, and that's what I love. I love seeing, one of our characters talking to her grandmother about this, and the grandmother just innocently saying, "I don't know about any of this, and I fear for her," but the grandmother also, from a loving, a loving way, accepts her with all of her heart and loves her, with every being of her, of herself. And I just think that's amazing to see an older generation saying, I can change, why can't anyone else change?
Exactly.
And maybe everything I've been taught isn't exactly right. Maybe it's just not right that these people are so awful.
In making this documentary, Mississippi I Am, is there anything memorable in terms of the creation of the film? Any behind-the-scenes stories or interesting things you might want to talk about?
Well, in doing this film, there were many things behind the scenes that we didn't get to catch that are very interesting, and especially Katherine. She lived and breathed it. She had to be there at ground zero the whole entire time. So, and I want you to tell some of the stories, especially one of my favorite stories is right when they went down there to start filming this, the gas station story of the older gentleman there. You have to tell the story.
It was our first, very, very first day there, and we were trying to find Itawamba High School, Constance's high school, just to get a shot of it. And we got lost, and there was this gas station that sort of looked right out of Deliverance, and I was like, oh, we should ask for directions, which is, at that point, the media spotlight had come on Mississippi, and people there were really angry. They didn't like the spotlight. They didn't want it.
The temperature was not good.
The temperature was awful.
And you're talking about Constance and the high school.
That point had already been on the national news, international news, and so nobody wanted to talk to anybody like me from the north. I look gay, I don't belong there. So I went in and asked for directions, and no one would talk to me. And then there was a group of older gentlemen sitting around a table, almost what you can imagine they always do. And so I went up to them and I told them why I was there, that I'm doing a documentary, and would anyone speak to me about this subject, any opinion. And one said, if someone had beat her head in with a baseball bat, this would have all gone away. And I said, well, that's an opinion. Do you want to say that on camera? And he just sort of shook his head and got up and walked away. And I asked him, will anyone else talk to me? And they all shook their heads. And finally, this one older gentleman said, I will. And he got up, and I said, really? He said, I'm Constance's grandfather.
Oh, wow.
So this was his circle of friends. This was the people he grew up with. That's his family. That's his, so what was amazing, and then he stood in the parking lot and was interviewed.
Right.
With absolute hostility around us. But he's like, that's my granddaughter. And yes, this is what I'm hearing every day.
Right.
I'm hearing it on the news, how awful we are, how terrible she is. She can't be from here. This idea that she couldn't even be from Mississippi. She's so evil. And this is her grandfather saying, I don't support it.
Right.
You can't throw the Bible at my granddaughter. And these are his friends.
Right.
So, when we come out, we were just talking about this at lunch, when we come out, our families come out. And Lance obviously tells that beautiful story in the film, which is a hard story.
Yeah, and that's, I wanted to show that too. I wanted to have a familiar story in this film. And so I used myself, and you would think just because I'm a celebrity it would be a lot easier to come out of the closet and have a lot of support, but I didn't. And I explain how my family, when anyone comes out, your family has to come out at the same time. And yes, I get to live in New York, I get to live in LA. It's a lot easier to be gay. But my family's left in Mississippi with the talk, the church members going to the grocery store, and someone coming to my mom saying, I'm so sorry. To this day, I'm so sorry. It's just apologizing for it.
Just
that's
a level
what they
of
have
shame.
to live with. Yeah, it's a shameful thing. And they have to live with that every day. And they get stronger with it, but it has to get to you. You have to have a thick skin to deal with that.
Absolutely. Why is it important to bring your film to Frameline?
Well, because Frameline is the bee's knees
Yes, it is.
of all festivals. No, I had a film here years ago,
Did you? Yeah.
Follow My Voice,
That's right.
that played at Castro. I mean, what bigger, first of all, LGBTQ festival is there? I don't know that there is one, and it's an honor to be here. And actually, San Francisco, y'all are critical. So we've gotten some nice write-ups. So it's a tough audience because people expect a lot here.
Yeah.
You cannot just give a pat story and just put gay on it and everybody likes it. So it's a really great. I think there's no other festival that puts our film up to the test, but also that you think San Francisco gay Mecca, what a great place for Mississippi. Also for this film about a really a state that maybe a lot of people from here haven't been to. So I think it's an honor to sort
and
of...
it legitimizes it, and I love that. Frameline is definitely one of my favorite festivals. I've never had a film here ever, so this is like an honor to be a part of this.
Thank you.
And this is just the really best way to make sure that your film gets the most attention. And we're here because we want to find a way that we can distribute this film to the masses. We want everyone to be able to see this film. I think it's so important, and not just for the gay community. We want the straight community to see this. We want that older generation. So we're here to find out the best possible way to get this film seen by the most people in the world.
Great. Well, Katherine, Lance, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.